Today I'm going to talk about what was it like to not get a diagnosis of autism until I was in my 40s. I'm sure that it would have helped my mom and dad if I had a diagnosis when I was young. But in our family, that's just the way I was. But I remember my mom, when she was trying to help me learn to talk, she always tried to get me to look at her so that I could, so I could look at her, and to get my attention, she would say, "Look at me, just look at me," and then she would tell me a word to say, or "Can you say this?" or "Can you say that?" I'm sure a lot of those things would have been a lot easier if they'd have known it then. But then on the other hand, well, let me stay on. And I think it would have saved me, as an adult, it would have saved me a lot of anxiety and depression, and because I was always having issues of depression, or even being real anxious, and I couldn't understand why. My brothers and my sister, as we was growing up, for a while, I guess I was kind of on their level. But it got to a point where, they was all learning to drive, and I just felt like everybody was passing me up, and it just made me anxious. And I think it would have saved a lot of confusion about me, and why I did the things that I did, and still do. Yeah, it would have been a lot easier if they would have known that. But then on the other hand, because wasn't known that I had autism, it was just how I was, it just became something that I had to overcome, which I never was really able to do that. But that was the way that it was dealt with in schools, and if you had, well, back when we was going to school, the biggest things was you didn't talk in class, and you didn't chew gum, and things like that. But not having a diagnosis of autism, I think there was a little bit of, I had a little bit of pressure to kind of keep, to do certain things or not do certain things, and actually I thought that it was hard for everybody until, like I said, I got to a point where my brothers and my sister, they was all driving and doing things that I wanted to do, but I just was not able to do it. So I went for a long time just being, just wondering why I did things the way I did, but then as autism started becoming more, people knew more about it, and it became more, there was more information, and I kind of put it to myself that, for me, it kind of answered my questions long before I actually got a diagnosis. I just kind of knew that, the things I did when I was a kid, it was like, oh, that's it. But when I got in my, a few years ago, I finally just had to know. I really just wanted to know. And so I sought a diagnosis of whether that was it or not. And I went to one place that specializes in autism, and they sent me to another psychiatrist, or whatever his title was, but he was an expert in diagnosing people with autism, and I went to him, and he diagnosed me as having high-functioning autism, and but at the same time, the medical doctors had done a genetic test on me because I was having like tremors and stuff, and they couldn't find out what it was, so he did a genetic test, and it came back as probable mosaic Turner syndrome, which explained why I wasn't able to have kids, and it explained, it kind of went along with having the diagnosis of autism, because it kind of helped the autism doctor understand, maybe where it was coming from. Not that Turner syndrome is autism, but it has some features that cross over into being like having symptoms of autism, and don't. I mean, if I didn't explain that right, I'm not. I'm just saying what I understood of what was going on at the time that I was getting a diagnosis, and but in other areas, I might not have ever got married. I might not have, had I known, I might not have gotten married. I might not have I might not have been challenged to do the things that I was, I might not have. Well, when I was in school, I was in high school, and my attempts at dating were very immature. I was kind of like at the, hey, I like you, do you like me? I was in high school, and everybody was like, what? And, my attempts at dating when I was in high school was very immature, and but I met a man who was, he grew up on a farm, and he didn't really pursue dating, and when I met him, it was kind of like, okay, I didn't seem so immature to him, because he hadn't really pursued much dating himself. So, but I think it is God's will for me to be with him. I feel like his soulmate, and I feel like I've always felt that way about him. But I feel comfortable with him. I don't have issues of wanting to have privacy from him. When everybody else, yeah, I do. And I want to know that I have a certain amount of privacy from other people. But him, not so much. So I praise God for blessing me with him, and I don't know what I would do without him. I guess that's really all that I can think of to say about it right now. I've already went over 9 minutes. I better. So I'll talk to y'all again next time. Thank you. Bye.